Hello and welcome to the show. For today's autocross car build, I have the vehicle that probably scares me the most that I've done, certainly for this series. The Metro 6R4. It should be ideally suited. It is small, it is light, it is four-wheel drive. That all sounds very, very good for autocross. The big downside, I know how twitchy this car can be, and that is very bad when it comes to autocross. I'm very concerned about this car being quite undrivable at higher speeds. I'm going to give it a go, though. I'm going to see what I can do with the Metro. Now, I am going to build this car a little bit differently. Normally, of course, autocross, I want all of the handling parts, but for this, I might not quite do that. Now, being four-wheel drive, okay, the tyres, it starts off with essentially sort of street compound tyres. Race compound tyres, to be fair, don't actually add as huge amount of PI as I was expecting. I'm not going to go for race tyres in this. What I am going to do is I'm going to go for upgraded tyre widths. Front tyres are humongous, 285s on the front. Equally, the rear tyres are pretty damn big, 3.5s here. I'm going to go for the fully upgraded tyre widths on this car and nothing else. My theory being here, we've got four-wheel drive. Traction isn't going to be a problem, especially not with the size of tyres that we have. We go up for race tyres, and if the car does start to get a little bit twitchy, the amount of grip, if it suddenly finds grip as it's twitching around, is likely to spear me off into a wall very quickly. So for going for less grip might actually help me here. I know that sounds a little bit weird, but I genuinely think that that is a very sensible thing to do in terms of keeping this car under control. Also, while it is small and light, it is down on power. The power-to-weight ratio on this car is okay, but it's nothing special. Considering we've had cars with 400-plus horsepower that have weighed less than 2,000 pounds, I think we actually need a lot more in the way of power. We're not going to get much more in the way of power. I will be honest here, the PI jumps up so bloody quickly, but we do need, ideally, more. I'm actually going to be able to get anything that might not work. Ah, bugger. We're going to play this game and find the no, everything's going to add too much power. Okay, maybe that's not the right way to go. Well, I was thinking of that because it tends to take out some weight as well. It only takes out 1 pound, so it doesn't bloody matter. Right, let's find something. Okay, so that gets me to 699. We can get 698 with 14. What we could do, actually, we could go for that and then go for driveline as well. That's going to be way too much. Exhaust is already on. That's going to add 13 with 4 PI to play with, which is not bad, but I don't really have very much else that I can do. I guess what I could do, actually, here's a thought. If we do that, we do driveline and then finish it off with a flywheel. Might work. I'm going to give it a try, at least, and voila, yeah, that will work. Okay, I will take that combination a bit. It's still under 300 horsepower, and again, I don't think that amount of power is really going to have any issue with the traction. We're going to have more than enough traction, so I'm thinking this is the better way of building the car. I am still concerned about it being twitchy. It still might be very, very twitchy. I think this is better, though, than going for the full race tyres. We shall see how this Metro fares. So, to test out the possible scary death machine, we have come to the Hockenheim circuit. The Metro will get 3 runs through the autocross course in an attempt to go as fast as possible. Now, our current leader is the Lamborghini Miura with a time of 203.3. I think it's unlikely the Metro really be challenging that, although I'll be honest, I don't quite know where this car is going to go. It has potential, I think, to be quite quick. Our fastest four-wheel drive car, the Audi RS4 Avant, is a 205.4. Could the Metro challenge that? Possibly, but if it is very, very difficult to drive, it's going to be on an autocross course. This could be about the worst possible place for this Metro if it is horribly twitchy. We will wait and see. We will wait and see. I do love the detail that you can see on the engine through the rear window. Please don't try and murder me, car. Please don't try and murder me. While it doesn't have, the most power... Ooh, just scraped along the barrel there. That's annoying. It doesn't have the most power. It will have nice short gear ratios and, of course, plenty of traction. So I'm hoping the acceleration will still be pretty decent. It's not too shabby. How do we fare through here? Okay. Woo! There goes the back end. Bloody hell. Okay. we can kind of get away with flat out through that first high-speed section, but the back end is the uncooperative part. The front end has more than enough grip. The front end is more than capable of doing it. It's what the back end decides to do that is the issue. The back end's just wanting to let go halfway around. Now, how do we fare for straight line speed down here? 110. We are down. We are down in terms of that straight line speed. Perhaps, yeah, not massively surprising. Kind of glad I've got more power in this car. Otherwise, I really think it would be struggling. I mean, the grip we've got more than enough of. We've got more than enough grip, and through these slower corners, it's very, very nicely behaved. The front end is getting changed direction incredibly nicely. Oh, that curb's not going to help it. Okay, that curb is a bad place to be going. It's just so violent. It is so violent when it starts to let go. It just immediately wants to come around and murder you, and that's not going to end well either. Oh, I want more. If this had more rear end grip, if this had a fair bit more rear end grip, it would be incredible at this kind of a thing. It just doesn't. It's also, I think, perhaps slightly softer suspension is not helping matters here, as a couple of times now, it's not, you know, lifting a wheel up. It's not going on 3 wheels around the corner, but it is slightly unloading a wheel, and that's, I think, making the twitchiness even worse. Yeah, just sort of under power there. It's doing it a little bit, and elsewhere I have seen / felt the car doing it, so that's stuff to worry about. We clipped 2 gates in all of that, 10 seconds time. Yeah, with a neater run I can get it quicker, but it's not going to be record breaking, I don't think. It's just too difficult to drive. So it is on to our second run with the Metro. Got to make sure to keep it out of the barriers. Got to try, or keep it out of the barrels more like. Well, hopefully the barriers as well. If we've gone that far, of course, then we're really in trouble. It's kind of what I feared in many ways. It is very, very fiddly. If you can sit on the fine line and get things right, it is pretty damn fast. But trying to find that line is about the most difficult I think I've had in any vehicle. It's quick, and it could be flat out. Oh, that's the rear on the grass, and we've gone. That's an unusual way. That's a very unusual way, in fact, to spin a car. I've had many near misses and offs and mistakes around this course in the past. I don't think that's been one of them. It's so... Even when it lets go, like when it's letting go there at the very high speed section, I'm beginning... Oh, okay, well that was my stupid. That was just turning in too much. I'm thinking that it's actually perhaps more the very soft suspension that is causing it as much issues as the lack of rear grip, because it kind of felt as if the car was compressing the rear suspension a lot, and it was kind of skidding along on that. I can't think of a better way of describing it. There probably is, but yeah, I think the front might have been ever so slightly unloaded, and that's really not helping matters as I'm trying to catch what is quite an oversteery car. Now, we really don't want the back end to be letting go. See, it's doing it again there. Once it sort of starts oversteering, it really doesn't like stopping. It's, yeah, I think it is unloading the front a fair bit, and that's what's causing us some of the problems. And at the moment where we spun, we had the rear wheel on the grass, and that lost all of it. Oh, I'm trying to take too much speed there. Well, it's all buggered up completely, this run. This run is a goner. If we can get things right at the front end, like the agility, especially through sort of a section like this, it is very, very good. If the back end could stay planted. That was an awful run. That was seven gates hit. Okay. Well, let's hope I can do something with it next. Well, the pressure is very much on for this final run with the Metro. It's going to be a handful. It's going to be a handful, me trying to keep this one out of the barrels and maybe try and find some speed. The issue is its main strength, which is the turn-in, is immediately countered by its main weakness, which is the back end doing its own thing. And the more you exploit the good turning, the worse the back end stepping out gets, and then you have a big crash. So yeah, we're going to have, I suspect, problems, although that was good. We actually got it balanced through there. I was completely ready to catch the oversteer, and it didn't do it. So I will take that. I'm very grateful. Oh god, no. Now we're probably going to catch oversteer at another awkward moment. I'm still trying to make the most of the speed where I can. Like here, the turn-in is great, but I just daren't throw the car full commitment because I'm not sure what the back end's going to do. I'm not sure when we're going to almost lose steering. When the front wheel is dangling around up in the air and you try and get on the power, you have so little in the way of steering. If your car is not angled correctly, you just go straight, and that's not helpful. That is another big problem that we have to contend with in this car. I do feel that if the autocross course was an ultra-tight, ultra-narrow, kind of like the real-life sort of autocross auto test, that style of course, I think this car would be amazing. Like the slow sections, it is very good at. I daren't chuck my car in here with speed. It has lots of uncomfortable issues through there. I think it's better to be neat. I'm kind of going for neat and tidy on this run. We kind of need it, to be honest, with the Metro. If this was a proper narrow autocross course, I think this would excel. The issue is that because the speeds are often in excess of 70, 80, 90, even 100 miles an hour, some of these gates, is at those speeds where the big twitchiness is a problem. Oh, I've actually slightly screwed up that corner. Like through here, it is a very good car. It gets changed direction, lovely, and then of course we have four-wheel drive traction to try and make the most of. That's going to be a quick time. 2:07.235 from the Metro. That's quicker than I thought it was going to do, actually. Oh, if this thing had the balance, had the grip to really be able to exploit that turning, it would be so fast. It is just too twitchy. I mean, that, I will be honest, there are a couple of points on that run where I was a little bit cautious. The sort of coming back into the stadium section, I was a little bit early on the brakes. I wanted to make sure I got the car sorted for that turn, and I did actually slightly cock up my way into the very final sort of final run towards the line. But that is kind of what happens with a car that is this difficult to drive. It is it's as twitchy as I slightly feared it would be. It is, yeah, a real handful at the slower sections. It's incredible. As soon as the speed starts getting up, the back end just wants to do its own thing, even though it's four-wheel drive, even with massive rear tyres, and there's really not a huge amount of power. Let's not forget that. This is under 300 horsepower. That's not much. For a four-wheel drive car, that's not much power at all to deal with, but because of the way this car is, the mid-engined nature and such a tiny wheelbase, it is so twitchy at the higher speeds. It's barely manageable. I did manage it there on that final run, but it is barely manageable. Still, the time is not that bad. I gotta say, quite pleased with that time. The 2:07.2 will put the car into 30th place. It beats the Plymouth Prowler, beats the Ford Falcon that went out last time, the RX-7 Buzzbox, the AE86. It does fractionally lose out, and we're only talking fractions here. Skyline R32, Camaro Z28, Ferrari 355, Fiat 124. This is a very crowded area, incredibly crowded area of the table. So to get into the mix there for such a difficult car to drive, I think is very good going. But yeah, not a car that I would particularly recommend for beginner to tackle autocross with. It is horrendously difficult to get through some of the faster stuff. It could have been worse. I will be honest, it could have been slightly worse, but not by much. However, that is going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.